Hey friends, we're going to be learning about how to tune drums, and really this is kind of my method on how I've learned to do this. There are several different approaches to do this, but I think it's important to share this knowledge because tuning drums and putting on drum heads, buying drum heads is it's an expensive endeavor, and number two, it is very complicated. So I'm going to try to share with you as easily as I can my approach to tuning the drums, okay? Before we get started with that, I want to teach you about drum rugs. One of the things you need before you put down your kit is a drum rug. The reason why this is important is because here you can tell that I have a hardwood floor, correct? And when I have metal bass drum spurs and I put them onto the hardwood floor, it's going to scratch it. You don't want that, all right? So now, one of the things that you want to pay attention to when you buy a drum rug is that you want it to be able to this is a piece of Velcro, and you want it to be able to stick to that. So when you're shopping drum rugs, that's one of the things that you really want to pay attention to is that it needs to be able to stick to Velcro. The reason why this is important is because when you put on your bass drum pedal, I'll grab this one here. You put on your bass drum pedal, it's not going absolutely anywhere. And that's just after putting it on. This is very important. This will keep your bass drum anchored and will keep you from having your bass drum move during your gig. So that's just a pro tip, okay? But I'm going to kind of share with you what I'm doing on this particular setup. So it's from the drum rug up. We're going to go over what heads I have and kind of why I bought them, the idea behind that, and then how to tune them. Then we're going to talk about putting the drum set together, where I place my stuff, and then we'll even talk about studio setup of microphones and camera work. So it's going to be quite an extensive video, maybe a series of videos. We'll just see as I begin to edit it how that looks, but I want to be as thorough as I can. All right, so one of the things that you should pay attention to right off the bat is when you do your bass drum, okay? The reason why this is so important is because there's a batter side of the drum. This is where the beater or the drum stick hits the drum. This is the one that's on top of the drum or facing you, okay? On the other side is the resonant side. This is generally a clear or a very thin head that's put on. On the bass drum, sometimes it's black, it can be clear or white. Sometimes has a logo on it that has the band name on it or something of that nature. And sometimes they're ported. What ported is that it has a hole. So if in the event that you're on a stage, the live sound guy can put in a microphone and mic the drum kit. That's all a hole in the kick drum is for. If you have one in your kick, that's great, but they're not necessary. I think that a kick drum sounds best when it doesn't have it ported, but in the way of miking it, it's really important to be able to get inside of that and put the bass drum microphone close to the beater or inside the kick drum. So there's reasons for that, and we'll go into that a little bit further on. But one of the things that you can tell of what makes a batter side and a resonant side on a kick drum is this. These are your bass drum spurs. And again, see that metal piece right there? That's what would be digging into your hardwood floors. So if you're going to a gig or you're playing at a wedding or you're just setting up in your living room, be very careful because these spurs will absolutely ruin your floor. And you don't want to do that whenever you're playing at a country club and you have ruined their hardwood floor, and they're going to be saying, hey, that's on you, bud. So be wary of that. So let's go with why this is important. The bass drum spurs are always facing the resonant side, okay? They're always on the front side of the drum. So when you're placing your drum heads on, if you've got both of them off, this is your guide, okay? Sometimes when it's not a virgin kick meaning that when it's a virgin kick that there's no holes placed into the drum, okay? But on some drums, they have tom arms that stick out of it, and that's a pretty good indicator of where the front and where the back go, okay? There's normally a label and that sort of thing. But with these drums, I did these, I wrapped these myself, and there is no logo or anything of that nature on them anymore. So with that being said, we're going to put on the resonant side and we're going to tune that up, okay? Here is our bottom, okay? And what we're doing is we're going to line that up perfectly with the lugs, okay? So that's going to sit in there. And to be honest with you, I don't like where that's at. I've been around the block enough to know that whenever I'm going to mic that, that's going to be really hard for a microphone to get into. If I place it here, just to give you an idea, that's not going to sit high enough for my microphones to easily get into just because of the height of the mic stand. So what I'm going to do is, although it off-centers the logo, I'm going to kick this over to the side. About right there. That's where I want my microphone to be placed. So now I'm going to begin to just put the tension rods, okay? This is a tension rod, okay? And this is a bass drum claw. It fits inside of here. Sometimes there's a little rubber gasket right here that keeps it from, that keeps the metal from rubbing onto the wooden hoop. Sometimes it's a fiberglass hoop. Sometimes it's a wooden hoop. Sometimes it's a plastic hoop, depending on what your brand is. And this one is a wooden hoop, as you can see. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to put this tension rod just right into the swivel nut. This is a swivel nut, this little piece that's inside of the bass drum lug, okay? So we're going to put this inside here and just putting them in the hole. That's all we're going to do right now, okay? And there's 8 of them. Matter of fact, I'm going to show you what to do. I should have done this earlier. Well, I did do it earlier. I'm just going to share with you what it is. This is just lubricating oil. I buy them from Walmart or Bass Pro Shop. It's a gun lubricant. And what it does is it cleans and it takes care of the tension rod inside there and allows smooth operation from here to here. Now, I don't put a ton of it in there. There's a lot of different options. You can get grease. You can use Vaseline. There's a whole host of things that you can use, but this is what I use because I like it to stay really, really pure and clean, okay? And what I do is I just put a dab of it, and that's it. And you can't see it all that well, but there's just a little bitty bubble in it. It goes all the way down, just touches on the sides, just enough to make sure that that stays nice and lubricated. You don't want to have any friction. That is because the metal is rubbing against metal Got our hole right where we want it. The next part. Now, I've already done, like I said, I've done the homework, and I've already done this on every single lug inside of the swivel nut. So I'm going to put this off to the side. This is to your discretion. This is what I do, and it works out really nice for me. So now that that's done, we are going to do what is called finger tight. Why is this important, and why do we do it? Okay. The idea is that you want this bass drum head to seat evenly. We want it to sit evenly. If we tighten down with a drum key right away, it's going to be lopsided and sitting uneven, and it won't tune properly. Okay? So let's get it all at what I call zero. There's no tension on any of these lugs yet. Okay? So we're going to make sure that the head, we're all good on that. We're going to reach from one side to the other. I've got one lug here, one tension rod here, and one tension rod here. And I'm just going to get them finger tight, okay? Just finger tight. Done. Next one. Want them just to be finger tight. That one's tight. That one's tight. All right, they're all as tight as my fingers can get them. Okay? Now, my next pro tip. 2 of the exact same drum key. The reason why I like to do this is because I put one here and one here. If they're both the exact same, then I can feel the torque of each hand the exact same. And I'd take in mind that, like, I might be left-handed or right-handed, but really what you're feeling is the tension. One hand might be stronger than the other, but you can still feel the tension. And I tune my bass drums and drums purely on feel, okay? What the tension is, okay? So what I'm going to do is you will see that I'm going to turn this just a touch, okay? Maybe a half turn. But I'm looking for the tension just to begin to feel a little bit. Just enough to, like, really know that the drum head is getting secure, okay? The idea is evenly, okay? So there's a couple different methods that you can do with this. What I'm going to do is you can go to the next one and the next one and start, but I'm going to go from one side and then go to the other. Okay? Again, feeling it by tension. So if we've done these two, we've done this two, let's just go to the left and the right. And again, you're looking for that same amount of tension, just a little bit. Maybe quarter turn. And our last one. There we go. It's so hard to explain tension in your fingers and explain what feel is through a video. If you were here, I would say, hey, feel where this is at. See how that feels, where that tension is at, but I can't. So all I can do is just describe to you is that I've got this as evenly tensioned on each hand as I can. Again, using the exact same drum keys, that really helps get the tension the same, okay? So I'm going to do it again. A little bit of tension, just a little bit more, not a whole lot. All right. Here. And then here. Yeah. Okay. And that's how I tune my drums. It seems like rocket science, But really, it's very similar to like putting on a tire on a truck or a car. You want the tension to be even when you put on the lugs, okay? And some of you might not drive and you might not understand that. The idea is that you want this drum head to be as even on the bearing edge of the drum as possible, okay? This helps make the drum head not be at odds, like one side is tighter than the other. That's not going to help the drum head resonate. The whole idea of drums, especially when you start getting into nicer drums, is that you want them to resonate, okay? So here we go. Kind of dial this in. I like where everything is at. I'm just going to go around and check the tension. This one doesn't feel as tight. Okay, good. I like that. Last one. Okay. I like where that sits right now. I'm not going to adjust it. I'm just going to see what it sounds like whenever I put on the batter head and I hit it. And then I can make adjustments. Okay. So let's flip the drum over. One more little trick of the trade. This one is great. Okay. These are fantastic. Sometimes when you buy a drum set, and especially an older drum set, you'll find these little marks on it right here. See that? That's where the bass drum pedal has rubbed up against the wooden hoop and has basically made a little damage. Well, guess what, friends? Bam, bam, bam. This part sits right over the bass drum. Now you can do it one of two ways. Put it here. There we go. That's right. Okay. So now that that's on there, guess what? Bass drum pedal won't rub anymore, and it actually secures it a little bit better and gives it a rubber grip, and it makes being able to put on the bass drum so much easier. Okay. So you can buy these. I buy a lot of my stuff from drumfactorydirect.com, and you can buy these as an accessory, and it will keep your bass drum hoops from getting broken or scarred up. Okay, and take this off for now. What's our next move? Everything is movable. Okay, after you put your oil in the swivel nut, you are then going to get it at finger tight. So let's do that. There's 1, 2. 3 and 4. Yep. There it is. 4. Cool. Now this is the top. Let's now talk about tension on this side. I generally like enough tension for my kick drum pedal to come back to me nicely, but I still want a low tone. How is that achieved? How do you get that balance? Because the more loose the head, obviously the lower tone you're going to get out of your kick drum. So there's kind of a nice balance with that. Some of you might, again, this is personal preference. Some of you might play jazz or enjoy a higher kick drum sound, and that is your preference. The drums are very unique to the individual player, and all I can do is teach you how I like mine. So this move is the same thing. I'm going to be doing just a little bit of tension. Do a cross. And if you noticed, I didn't put any muffling into the drum. I want to see what the drum sounds like all by itself without having any muffling. Now the EMAD drum head, boy, it really sounds amazing right out of the box. And they do have some Muffling options, it has a ring in here. I tend to lean more towards using the smaller ring than I do the more muffled ring, because I add muffling as it's needed. I don't go ahead and put on tape and put on moon gels and things of that nature right away. I want the drums to be able to resonate and be full. But after I play them, I can kind of determine what that looks like and how that will impact. So I don't have a pillow in the bass drum yet. That's not something that I'm looking for yet. So evenly tensioned all the way across. I'm going to get a little bit more. 1, 2, 3, and last one, 4. All right, I like how that's feeling. Give a little bit more attention. If it is too boomy and you like the thuddiness of it, I'll give you another pro tip. Go to the resonant bass drum side and tighten it. This will shorten the decay. It'll tune up the tone just a little bit. But really, I found that it cuts the overtones out just by tightening the resonant head. So let's go back to the kick drum, see where we're at. All right, I'm good with that now. Next move, bass drums got to have impact pads. Truth is that this is a very expensive bass drum head. It runs about $50. If you don't have an impact pad where your bass drum's mallets hit, it will absolutely create dents and will tear so much quicker because you simply didn't have any protection over this. So we're going to take our impact pads and put those to the side. All right, let's put on the bass drum pedal. Spurs down. There we go. Now the fun part. Yay! So the ones that Remo makes are made of Kevlar, which is super durable. These just seem to be made of a plastic film that's a little bit thicker. And we're going to put that right where the impact of the beater goes. Boom. That's good. Next. We're in gear. Yes. That is how to place your bass drum and tune it up and put the bass drum heads on. We are in gear now. Let's build the drum kit around where the bass drum sits.